Mayor Quinton Lucas, I want to start with you. You grew up in inner Kansas City. You were homeless for a time. You went to college, you went to law school. How did you break your cycle of poverty?
Hard work, good fortune, and a village that invested in me and cared about me. I think when you look at the Urban League's report, when you look at other reports each year, you realize that we really do need to have community solutions to community problems. I would love to act like I'm a Horatio Alger story, right? And I would just lift myself up, but that's absolutely not true. There were buses that I caught. There were buses my mom caught to work. There were people that reached out. Frankly, there is a now deceased Kansas City, Missouri police officer who was a mentor for me when I didn't actually have a father in my household growing up. And so I think that's why we have these conversations on what broad-based things can we do as a city. I take great pride in limiting some of the crime activity from marijuana, parking tickets, and all of that, and making sure it doesn't mean that people are being in jail for some extended amount of time or even a small amount of time on it. I take pride in things like zero fare transit to make sure people can get to work. I take pride in the fact that during COVID-19, we've invested in small business support, at least in Clay County and Jackson County portions of Kansas City. It takes all of the above and all of us understanding the need for that change to make a difference. But I'll just say kind of fundamentally this. There are people who cared about me. And that's the thing that I would call on anybody watching. The way we make this difference isn't some bold policy. It isn't the most creative thing ever from Quinton Lucas, Rick Smith, Laura McDonald, or anybody. It's actually in our neighborhoods. It's people contributing, caring every single day.
Khalid, your background is very similar. You went into the military. You have a college degree. How did you break the pattern in your family?
You know, I just kind of want to refer back to the point that Ms. McDonald made, about, her take on the current situation. I think that the discussion that we're having about this entire issue is one that, we need to consider that when we have our inputs are part of everyone else's inputs. So we're all coming together, we're having a discussion about the complete issue altogether. Not necessarily that, my opinion is better or worse than someone else's, but my opinion comes from my experience growing up as a black man in America. My father was strong, my father was in my home, and I know for a lot of people, they may say that that's a I told you so moment. But what my father was he was a stabilizer. My father stabilized my household. He stabilized his community, and that allowed me an opportunity to digest the information that he was trying to provide me. And it was those lessons that I was able to carry out into the real world, and that's what allowed me to do the things that I needed to do to be successful. So, that's reflective of the position that I've taken in this entire discussion, is to take responsibility for myself, my own actions, go directly to where I believe I'm having a problem and address these people directly and try to seek solutions. We're not looking for a resolution and we're not looking to cure cancer, but what we are looking is at a way to restore justice and a way to move forward.
Laura, you're with More Squared, and of course you are working to try and balance these scales. What's been accomplished so far?
So I love that you showed the State of Black report, because we're really pleased that we were one of the many organizations across the state that helped pass Medicaid expansion for people in Missouri. This is a complicated myriad of problems that leads to crime in our community, and to singularly focus on any one thing isn't fair to the problem, right? We're proud of a lot of our accomplishments at More Square. We worked on healthy homes so people could live in habitable rental housing, and we got that passed. I was one of the people impacted by that. So I think that there's many, many, many things that we need to do as a community. I like that Mayor Lucas, throughout his campaign, he always focused on the creation of a community whereby any child could reach their potential just as he did, right? And he talked about some of the exceptions in his life that allowed him to reach that potential. And I just, again, as a mother, I'm really concerned about our lack of discussion about these 15-year-old kids who have been abused by our police department. And frankly, the lack of outrage by other mothers and the lack of outrage by white people in this community for that. And some of the actions by the police department in that whole process. So I think I'm pretty stuck on that right now, and that's where More Squared is going to put most of our energy in talking to people about how policing is happening throughout the metro and how people aren't getting their needs met.
Okay, and Chief, your department has a number of community programs that are in place. How can that help the people that Laura serves, the kids that are in our community to get a better chance?
Yeah, and it has to come through those community outreaches. So right now we're involved in the Youth Police Initiative, where we bring kids in who have struggled even in some aspects with criminal matters, school matters, all kinds of stuff. And it's a 5-day course in which they sit down with officers and have in-depth discussions about many things. And the first day, it's really interesting to see the takes. I mean, it's literally cussing at the police as we sit in the room. And by the 5th day, we have kids giving us hugs and high fives because they see us as people, and the officers see them as people. So I think it's that long-term interaction with our youth programs that will make a difference with people, and to spread that knowledge that the police are engaged. And I go back to the mayor's point of talking about people caring. Our officers now have their YPI kids, and they care about them, and they follow up with them, and they actually talk to them on different bases and throughout the year. So same with our Teens in Transition program out of Nova. We have the exact same kind of interaction afterwards, that the kids stay connected to those officers and the officers to those kids. And I think that makes a difference over a period of time, but it will not change things tomorrow.